MTV is an American cable channel. The channel launched on August 1st, 1981, and to this very day, the channel is still alive and healthy. So, how did it become so popular? Let's find out. Previous concepts from 1964 to 1977. Ideas for music television began in the 1960s. The Beatles used music videos to promote their records starting in the mid-1960s. Their 1964 film, A Hard Day's Night, and particularly its performance of the song Can't Buy Me Love, led MTV to late honor the film's director, Richard Lester, with an award for basically inventing the music video. In 1967, a Los Angeles company called Charlatan Productions began producing promotional films for rock groups, with a unique approach that involved interpreting individual songs by crafting original scripts and artistic scenarios to match. Charlatan was founded by filmmakers Peter Gardner and Alan Daivu, both of whom were special effects producers that year for the film The Trip. Tom Rounds, former program director for San Francisco Top 40 radio station KFRC, was brought on board later in 1967 as Charlatan president. Under Rounds' leadership and on contract to record companies, Charlatan produced the short, song-length promo films and then distributed them on videotapes to TV stations around the country. By mid-1968, Charlatan had already completed 40 films for 15 record companies for artists like Jimi Hendrix, The Animals, Steppenwolf, Arthea Franklin, Richie Havens, The Who, The Rascals, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Connie Francis, The Cowsills, and Ricky Nelson. In his book, The Mason Williams FCC Report, Mason Williams states that he pitched an idea to CBS for a television program featuring video radio, where disc jockeys played avant-garde art pieces to set music. CBS rejected it, but Williams premiered his own musical composition, Classical Gas, on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, where he was head writer, and the song became a major hit. In 1970, Philadelphia-based disc jockey Bob Whitney curated The Now Explosion, a television series filmed in Atlanta and broadcast in syndication by local television stations throughout the United States, featuring promotional clips from various popular artists. It was canceled by its distributor in 1971. Several music programs originating outside the US, including Australia's Countdown and the United Kingdom's Top of the Pops, which initially aired music videos by artists who were not available to perform live, began to feature them regularly by the mid-1970s. In 1974, Gary Van Haas, vice president of Televac Corporation, created Music Video TV, a channel with video disc jockeys to be shown in record stores across the United States, and promoted it to distributors and retailers in a May 1974 issue of Billboard. Van Haas signed a deal with US Cable in 1978 to expand its audience from retail stores to cable TV. However, it was no longer active by the time MTV launched in 1981. Prehistory from 1977 to 1981. Pre-launch as Sight on Sound. In 1977, Warner Cable, a division of Warner Communications and predecessor of Warner Amex Satellite Entertainment, launched the first two-way interactive cable TV system, Cube, in Columbus, Ohio. It offered many specialized channels, one of which was Sight on Sound, a music channel featuring concert footage and music-oriented programs where viewers could vote for their favorite songs and artists. MTV's original format was created by media executive Robert W. Pittman, later president and CEO of MTV Networks. He tested the format by producing and hosting a 15-minute show, Album Tracks, on New York City's WNBC-TV in the late 1970s. Pittman's boss, Warner Executive Vice President John Lack, had shepherded Pop Clips, a TV series created by Monkey turned solo artist Michael Nesmith, whose attention has turned to the music video format in the late 1970s. Pop Clip's inspiration came from a similar program on New Zealand's TV&Z network, Radio with Pictures, which premiered in 1976. New Zealand was no stranger to music videos. In 1966, record companies began supplying the New Zealand Broadcasting Company with promotional video clips, as few artists made the long trip there to appear live. 1981 to 1991, official launch. On Saturday, August 1st, 1981, at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time, MTV was officially launched with the words, "Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock and roll," spoken by John Lack and played over footage of the first space shuttle launch countdown of Columbia, which took place earlier that year, and the launch of the Apollo 11. The words were followed by the original MTV theme song, a vivid rock tune composed by Jonathan Elias and John Peterson, playing over the American flag change to show MTV's logo changing into different textures and designs. MTV producers Alan Goodman and Fred Seibert used this public domain footage as a concept. Seibert said that they had originally planned to use Neil Armstrong's "one small step" quote, but lawyers said that Armstrong owned his name and likeness and that he had refused, so the quote was replaced with a beeping sound. A shortened version of the shuttle launch ID ran at the top of every hour in different forms, from MTV's first day until it was pulled in early 1986 in the wake of the Challenger disaster. The first music video on MTV, which at the same time was only available to homes in New Jersey, was the Buggles' "Video Killed the Radio Star." It was followed by Pat Benatar's "You Better Run." Occasionally, the screen went black when an employee at MTV inserted a tape into a VCR. MTV's lower third graphics near the beginnings and ends of videos eventually used the recognizable cable typeface for about 25 years. But they varied on MTV's first day, set in a different typeface and including details such as the song's year and record label. MTV has paved the way for a host of invaders from abroad: Def Leppard, Adam Ant, Madness, Eurythmics, The Fix, and Billy Idol, to name a few. In return, Grateful Brits, even superstars like Pete Townshend and the Police have mugged for MTV promo spots and made the phrase "I want my MTV" a household commonplace. As program-in-chief, Robert W. Pittman recruited and managed a team of co-founders for the launch that included Tom Freston, who succeeded Pittman as CEO of MTV Networks, Fred Seibert, and John Skies. They were joined by Carolyn Baker, original head of talent and acquisition, Marshall Cohen, original head of research, Gail Sparrow of talent and acquisition, Sue Steinberg, executive producer, Jillian Goldberg, Steve Lawrence, Jeff Bolton. Studio producers and MTV News writers and associate producers Liz Nealon, Nancy LaPook, and Robin Zorn. Steve Casey, curator of the name MTV, and its first program director, Marcy Braffman, Richard Scheckman, Ronald E. Buzz Brindle, and Robert Morton. Kenneth M. Miller is credited as MTV's first technical director at its New York City-based network operations facility. MTV's effect was immediate. Within 2 months, record stores where MTV was available were selling music local radio stations were not playing, such as Men at Work, Bow Wow Wow, and The Human League. MTV also sparked the second British invasion, featuring existing videos by UK acts who had used the format for several years. For example, on BBC's Top of the Pops. MTV targeted an audience of ages 12 to 34. However, its self-conducted research showed that over 50% of its audience was 12 to 24, and that this group watched for an average of 30 minutes for 2 hours a day. Original VJs and format. MTV's original purpose was to be music television, playing music videos 24/7, guided by on-air personalities known as VJs or video jockeys, inspired by DJ for disc jockey. Its original slogans were, "You'll never look at music the same way again," and "On cable, in stereo." MTV's earliest format was modeled after AOR, album-oriented rock radio. It underwent a transition to emulate a full top 40 station in 1984. Fresh-faced young men and women hosted its programming and introduced videos. Many VJs became celebrities in their own right. MTV's 5 original VJs in 1981 were Nina Blackwood, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, J.J. Jackson, and Martha Quinn. Popular New York DJ Meg Griffin was going to be a VJ but decided against it at the last minute. The VJs were hired to fit certain demographics the channel was trying to obtain. Goodman was the affable everyman, Hunter, the popular jock, Jackson, the hip radio veteran, Blackwood, the bombshell vixen, and Quinn, the girl next door. Due to uncertainty around the channel's success, the VJs were told not to buy permanent residences and to keep their second jobs. The VJs were recorded intro and outro voiceovers before broadcast, along with music news, interviews, concert dates, and promotions. These segments appeared to air live and debut on MTV 24/7, but they were pre-taped within a regular work week at MTV Studios. The earlier music videos that comprised most of MTV's programming in the 1980s were promotional videos, or promos, a term that originated in the UK, that record companies had commissioned for international use, or concert clips from any available sources. Rock bands and performers of the 1980s who appeared on MTV ranged from new wave to soft rock and heavy metal, including Adam Ant, Bryan Adams, Pat Benatar, Blondie, The Cars, Culture Club, Def Leppard, Dire Straits, whose 1985 song and video Money for Nothing included the slogan, "I want my MTV" in its lyrics. Duran Duran, Eurythmics, Peter Gabriel, Genesis, Daryl Hall, John Oates, Billy Idol, Billy Joel, John Mellencamp, Motley Crue, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, The Police, Prince, Ultravox, U2, Van Halen, and ZZ Top, Rat, Bon Jovi, Metallica, Guns N' Roses. MTV also played classic rock acts from the 1980s and earlier decades, including Aerosmith, David Bowie, Eric Clapton, Journey, Rush, Linda Ronstadt, Billy Squier, The Rolling Stones, The Moody Blues, Paul McCartney, Robert Palmer, Rod Stewart, Styx, The Who, newly solo acts such as Robert Plant, Phil Collins, David Lee Roth, and Pete Townshend, supergroup acts such as Asia, The Power Station, Yes, The Firm, and Traveling Wilburys, as well as revivals of acts such as Michael Stanley Band, Shoes, Blotto, PhD, Rockpile, Boot Camp, Silicon Teens, and Taxi. The 70s hard rock band Kiss appeared without their trademark makeup for the first time on MTV in 1983. The first country music video on MTV was Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton, which first aired on MTV's premiere date. It was also the third video by solo female artists to air on MTV after Pat Benatar and Carly Simon. In addition to giving exposure to lesser-known artists, MTV was instrumental in the booming 80s dance wave. Video budgets increased, and artists began to add fully choreographed dance sections. Michael Jackson's music became synonymous with dance. In addition to learning the lyrics, fans often learned the choreography. Madonna capitalized on dance in her videos using classically trained jazz and break dancers. Along with extensive costuming and makeup, Duran Duran used tribal elements pulled from Dunham technique in The Wild Boys. And Kate Bush used a modern dance duet in Running Up That Hill. MTV's influence on dance as well as music has carried through to this day. In 1984, more record companies and artists began making video/promo clips for their music, realizing the popularity of MTV was the growing medium. To accommodate the influx of videos, MTV announced changes to its playlists in the November 3rd, 1984 issue of Billboard that took effect the next week. Playlist rotation categories were expanded from 3, light, medium, heavy, to 7, new, light, breakout, medium, active, heavy, and power. This ensured that artists with chart hits got the exposure they deserved, with medium being a home for established hits still on the climb up to the top 10, and heavy, a home for big hits without the bells and whistles, just the exposure they commanded. Flashdance 1983 was the first film whose promoters supplied MTV with musical clips to compose promotional videos, which the channel included in its regular rotation. In its early days, MTV occasionally let celebrity guest VJs take over the channel for an hour to host their favorite music videos. They included musicians such as Adam Ant, Billy Idol, Phil Collins, Simon Le Bon, and Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran, Tina Turner, and comedians such as Eddie Murphy, Martin Short, and Dan Aykroyd. The channel also rotated the music videos of Weird Al Yankovic, who made a career of parodying other artists' videos. It also aired several of Yankovic's specials in the 1980s and 1990s under the title Al TV. PSAs and promotion of charitable causes and NFPs were woven into the MTV fabric. In 1985, MTV spearheaded a initiative in response to the AIDS epidemic when it was perceived that many teens might be more receptive to the message there than from their parents. Its campaign continues today as It's Your Life, breaking the color barrier. During MTV's first few years, very few black artists were featured. The select few in MTV's rotation were Michael Jackson, Prince, Eddie Grant, Tina Turner, Donna Summer, Whitney Houston, Sade, Janet Jackson, Joan Armatrading, Musical Youth, The Specials, The Selector, Grace Jones, and Herbie Hancock. Mickey Craig of Culture Club, Joe Leeway of Thompson Twins, and Tracy Wormworth of The Waitresses were also black. Specials, which included black and white vocalists and musicians, were also the first act with people of color to perform on MTV. Their song Rat Race was the 58th video on the station's first broadcast day. MTV refused other black artists' videos, such as Rick James' Super Freak, because they did not fit the channel's carefully selected album-oriented rock format at the time. The exclusion enraged James, who publicly advocated the addition of more black artists to the channel. Rock legend David Bowie also questioned MTV's lack of black artists during an on-air interview with VJ Mark Goodman in 1983. MTV's original head of talent and acquisition, Caroline B. Baker, who was black, questioned why the definition of music had to be so narrow, as did a few others outside the network. Years later, Baker said the party line at MTV was that we weren't playing black music because of the research, but the research was based on ignorance. We were young on the cutting edge. We didn't have to be on the cutting edge of racism. Nevertheless, it was Baker who rejected Rick James' Super Freak video because there were in it, and it was a piece of... As a black woman, I did not want that representing my people as the first black video on MTV. The network's director of music programming, Buzz Brindle, told an interviewer in 2006. MTV was originally designed to be a rock music channel. It was difficult for MTV to find African American artists whose music fit the channel's format that leaned toward rock out at the outset. Writers Craig Marks and Rob Tannenbaum noted that the channel aired videos by plenty of white artists who didn't play rock. Andrew Goodwin later wrote, MTV denied racism on the grounds that it merely followed the rules of the rock business. MTV senior executive vice president Les Garland complained decades later, the worst thing was that racism. There were hardly any videos being made by black artists. Record companies weren't funding them. They never got charged with racism. However, critics of that defense pointed out that record companies were not funding videos for black artists because they knew they would have difficulty persuading MTV to play them. In celebrating its 40th anniversary of the network's launch in 2021, current MTV Entertainment Group President Chris McCarthy acknowledged that one of the bigger mistakes in the early years was not playing enough diverse music. But the nice thing that I've always learned at MTV is we have no problem owning our mistakes, quickly correcting them, and trying to do the right thing, and always follow where the audience is going. Before 1983, Michael Jackson also struggled for MTV airtime. To resolve the struggle and finally break the color barrier, the president of CBS Records, Walter Yentnikoff, denounced MTV in a strong, profound statement threatening to take away its right to play any of the label's music. However, Les Garland, then Acquisitions head, said he decided to air Jackson's Billie Jean video without pressure from CBS, a statement later contradicted by CBS head of business affairs David Benjamin in Vanity Fair. According to the Austin Chronicle, Jackson's video for the song Billie Jean was the first video that broke the color barrier, even though the channel itself was responsible for erecting that barrier in the first place. But change was not immediate. Billie Jean was not added to MTV's medium rotation playlist 2 to 3 airings per day until it reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. In the final week of March, it was in heavy rotation 1 week before the MTV debut of Jackson's Beat It video. Prince's Little Red Corvette joined both videos in heavy rotation at the end of April. At the beginning of June, Electric Avenue by Eddie Grant joined Billie Jean, which was still in heavy rotation until mid-June. At the end of August, She Works Hard for the Money by Donna Summer was in heavy rotation on the channel. Herbie Hancock's Rocket and Lionel Richie's All Night Long were placed in heavy rotation at the end of October and the beginning of November, respectively. In the final week of November, Donna Summer's Unconditional Love was in heavy rotation. When Jackson's elaborate video for Thriller was released late that year, raising the bar for what a video could be, the network's support for it was total. Subsequently, more pop and more R&B videos were played on MTV. Following Jackson's and Prince's breakthroughs on MTV, Rick James did several interviews where he brushed off the accomplishment as tokenism, saying in a 1983 interview in an episode of Mike Judge Presents Tales from the Tour Bus on James that any black artist that had their video played on MTV should pull their videos off MTV. Regardless of the timeline, many black artists had their videos played in heavy rotation the following year, 1984, including Herbie Hancock, Prince, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, Sade, Janet Jackson, Donna Summer, Billy Ocean, Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie, Ray Parker Jr., Rockwell, the Pointer Sisters, the Jacksons, Sheila E., and Denise Williams. Eventually, videos from the emerging genre of rap and hip-hop also entered MTV's rotation. A majority of rap artists on MTV in the mid-1980s, such as Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Houdini, LL Cool J, and the Beastie Boys, were from the East Coast Video Music Awards. In 1984, the channel produced its first MTV Music Awards show, or VMAs. The first award show in 1984 was punctuated by a live performance by Madonna of Like a Virgin. The statuettes that are handed out at the Video Music Awards are of the MTV Moon Man, the channel's original image from its first broadcast in 1981. Presently, the Video Music Awards are MTV's most watched annual event. Special annual events. MTV began its annual spring coverage in 1986, setting up temporary operations in Daytona Beach, Florida, for a week in March, broadcasting live 8 hours per day. Spring break is a youth culture event, MTV's Vice President Doug Herzog said at the time. We wanted to be part of it for that reason. It makes good sense for us to come down and go live from the center of it, because obviously the people there are the kinds of people who watch MTV. The channel's coverage featured numerous live performances from artists and bands on location. The annual tradition continued into the 2000s, when it became de-emphasized and handed off to MTVU, the spin-off channel of MTV targeted at college campuses. The channel later expanded its beach-themed events to the summer, dedicating most of each summer season to broadcasting live from a beach house at different locations away from New York City, eventually leading to channel-wide branding throughout the summer in the 1990s and early 2000s, such as Motel California, Summer Share, Isle of MTV, SoCal Summer, Summer in the Keys, and Shore Sing. MTV VJs hosted blocks of music videos, interview artists and bands, and introduced live performances and other programs from other beach house locations each summer. In the 2000s, as the channel reduced its airtime for music videos and eliminated much of its in-house programming, its annual summer-long events came to an end. MTV also held week-long music events that took over the presentation of the channel. Examples from the 1990s and 2000s include All Access Week, a week in the summer dedicated to live concerts and festivals. Spanking New Music Week, a week in the fall dedicated to brand new music videos. And week-long specials that accumulated in a particular live event, such as Wanna Be a VJ and the Video Music Awards. At the end of each year, MTV takes advantage of its home location in New York City to broadcast live coverage on the New Year's Eve in Times Square. Several live music performances are featured alongside interviews with artists and bands that were influential throughout the year. For many years, from the 1980s to the 2000s, the channel upheld the tradition of having a band perform a cover song at midnight immediately following the beginning of the new year. Live concert broadcasts. Throughout its history, MTV has covered global benefit concert series live. For most of July 13, 1985, MTV showed the Live Aid concerts held in London and Philadelphia, organized by Bob Geldof and Meji Uri to raise funds for a famine relief in Ethiopia. While the ABC network showed only selected highlights during prime time, MTV broadcast 16 hours of coverage. Along with VH1, MTV broadcast the Live Aid concerts, a series of concerts set in the G8 states and South Africa on July 2nd, 2005. Live 8 preceded the 31st G8 Summit and the 20th anniversary of Live Aid. MTV drew heavy criticism for its coverage of Live 8. The network cut to commercials, VJ commentary, or other performances during performances. Complaints surfaced on the internet over MTV interrupting the reunion of Pink Floyd. In response, MTV President Van Toffler stated that he wanted to broadcast highlights from every venue of Live 8 on MTV and VH1, and clarified that network hosts talked over performances only in transition to commercials, informative segments, or other musical performances. Toffler acknowledged that MTV should not have placed such a high priority on showing so many acts at the expense of airing complete sets to key artists. He also blamed the Pink Floyd interruption on a mandatory cable affiliate break. MTV averaged 1.4 million viewers for its original July 2nd broadcast of Live 8. Consequently, MTV and VH1 aired 5 hours of uninterrupted Live 8 coverage on July 9th, with each channel airing other blocks of artists. Formatted music series. MTV had debuted Dial MTV in 1986, a daily top 10 music video countdown show for which every viewer could call the toll-free telephone number 1-800-DIAL-MTV to request a music video. The show was replaced by MTV Most Wanted in 1991, which ran until 1996 and later saw a spiritual successor in Total Request Live. The phone number remained in use for video requests until 2006. 1986 also brought the departure of 3 of the 5 original VJs as J.J. Jackson moved back to Los Angeles and returned to radio, while Nina Blackwood moved on to pursue new roles in television. Martha Quinn's contract wasn't renewed in late 1986, and she departed the network. She was brought back in early 1989 and stayed until 1992. Downtown Julie Brown was hired as the first new VJ as a replacement. In mid-1987, Alan Hunter and Mark Goodman ceased being full-time MVT VJs. Also in 1986, the channel introduced 120 Minutes, a show that featured low-rotation, alternative rock, and other underground videos for the next 14 years on MTV and 3 additional years on sister channel MTV2. The program then became known as Subterranean on MTV2. 8 years later, on July 31st, 2011, 120 Minutes was resurrected, with Matt Pinfield taking over hosting duties once again and airing monthly on MTV2. Another late-night music video show was added in 1987, Headbangers Ball, which featured heavy metal music and news. Before its abrupt cancellation in 1995, it featured several hosts including Ricky Ratchman and Adam Curry. A weekly block of music videos with the name Headbangers Ball aired from 2003 to 2011 on sister channel MTV2, before spending an additional 2 years as a web-only series on MTV2's website until Headbangers Ball was discontinued once again in 2013. Mark Goodman and Alan Hunter departed the network in 1987. In 1988, MTV debuted Yo MTV Raps, a hip-hop/rap formatted program. MTV progressively increased its airing of hit rappers by way of this program, such as MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, LL Cool J, Queen Latifah, Salt and Peppa, Tone Loc, Naughty by Nature, MC Light, and Sir Mix-a-Lot. The channel also played R&B artists such as Janet Jackson, New Edition, and Vogue, Belle Biv DeVoe, SWV, Tony Tone, TLC, New Kids on the Block, and Boys II Men. The program continued until August 1995. It was renamed to simply Yo, and aired as a 1-hour program from 1995 to 1999. The concept was reintroduced as Direct Effect in 2000, which became Sucker Free in 2006, and was cancelled in 2008 after briefly celebrating the 20th anniversary of Yo! MTV Raps throughout the months of April and May 2008. Despite its cancellation on MTV, a weekly countdown of hip-hop videos known as Sucker Free still airs on MTV2 throughout the present day. In 1989, MTV began to premiere music-based specials such as MTV Unplugged, an acoustic performance show which has featured dozens of acts and its guests and has remained active in numerous iterations of various platforms over 20 years. To further cater to the growing success of R&B, MTV introduced the weekly Fade to Black in the summer of 1991, which was hosted by Al B. Sure. The show was reformatted into the better-known MTV Jams the following year, which incorporated mainstream hip-hop into the playlist. Bill Bellamy became the new and ongoing host. The show became so successful it spawned its own Most Wanted spin-off titled Most Wanted Jams. First format evolution. In 1985, Viacom bought Warner Amex Satellite Entertainment, which owned MTV and Nickelodeon, renaming the company MTV Networks and beginning this expansion. Before 1987, MTV featured almost exclusively music videos, but as time passed, they introduced a variety of other shows, including some that were originally intended for other channels. Non-music video programming began in the late 1980s with the introduction of a music news show, The Week in Rock, which was also the beginning of MTV's new division, MTV News. MTV's news division, MTV News. Around this time, MTV also introduced a fashion news show, House of Style, a dance show, Club MTV, and a game show, Remote Control. Despite these programs not being music video based, all three shows were based around the world of popular music. Following the success of the MTV Video Music Awards, in an effort to branch out from music into movies and broader pop culture, MTV started the MTV Movie and TV Awards in 1992, which continues presently. MTV also created an award show for Europe after the success of the Video Music Awards. The MTV Europe Music Awards, or the EMAs, were created in 1994, 10 years after the debut of the VMAs. These new shows were just the beginning of the new genres of shows to make an impact on MTV. As the format of the network continued to evolve, more genres of shows began to appear. 1991 to 1997. Alternative is mainstream. Nirvana led a sweeping transition into the rise of alternative rock and grunge music on MTV in 1991 with their video for Smells Like Teen Spirit. By late 1991, going into 1992, MTV began frequently airing videos from their heavily promoted buzz bin, such as Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Nine Inch Nails, Tori Amos, PM Dawn, Arrested Development, Bork, and Gin Blossoms. MTV increased rotation of its weekly alternative music program, 120 minutes, and added the Daily Alternative Nation to play videos of these and other underground music acts. Subsequently, grunge and alternative rock had a rise in mainstream cultures, while 1980s style glam bands and traditional rockers were phased out, with a few exceptions such as Aerosmith and Tom Petty. Older acts such as R.E.M. and U2 remain relevant by making their music more experimental or contemporary. MTV also played many hard rock acts such as Pantera, Deaf, and other death/heavy metal acts such at the time period, which saw rotation especially in Headbangers Ball, a program equipped for the genre. Over the next few years, more hit alternative rock acts were on heavy rotation, such as Stone Temple Pilots, Soul Asylum, Rage Against the Machine, Marilyn Manson, Toolbeck, Therapy, Radiohead, and the Smashing Pumpkins. Other hit acts such as Weezer, Collective Soul, Blind Melon, The Cranberries, Bush, and Silverchair followed in the next couple of years. Alternative bands that appeared on Beavis and Butthead included White Zombie. Also at this time, MTV began promoting new pop-punk acts, most successfully Green Day and The Offspring, and ska punk acts such as No Doubt, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, and Sublime. Alternative singers that were most pop-oriented were also added to the rotation with success, such as Alanis Morissette, Jewel, Fiona Apple, and Sarah McLachlan. Gangsta rap. In the early mid-1990s, MTV added gangster rappers with a less pop-friendly sound to its rotation, such as Tupac Shakur, The Notorious B.I.G., Wu-Tang Clan, Ice Cube, Warren G, Ice-T, Dr. Dre, Nas, and Snoop Doggy Dogg. In 1992, Dr. Dre's G-Funk single Nothing But a G-Thang became a crossover hit, with its humorous house party influenced video becoming an MTV staple despite the network's historic orientation towards rock music. Electronica. By 1997, MTV focused heavily on introducing electronica acts into the mainstream, adding them to its musical rotation including The Prodigy, The Chemical Brothers, Moby, FX Twin, Pendulum, Daft Punk, The Crystal Method, and Fatboy Slim. Some musicians who proceeded to experiment with electronica were still played on MTV, including Madonna, U2, David Bowie, Radiohead, and Smashing Pumpkins. That year, MTV also attempted to introduce neo-swing bands, but they were not met with much success. Rise of the Directors. To accompany the new sounds that were appearing on MTV, a new form of music videos came about. More artistic, experimental, and technically accomplished than those of the 1980s. Several noted film directors got their start in creating music videos. After pressure from the Music Video Production Association, MTV began listing the names of the video's directors at the bottom of the credits by December 1992. As a result of MTV's viewers became familiar with the names of Spike Jonze, Michel Gondry, David Fincher, Mary Lambert, Samuel Bayer, Matt Manurin, Mark Romanek, Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris, Anton Corbin, Mark Pellington, Parsum, Hype Williams, Jake Scott, Jonathan Glazer, Marcus Nispel, F. Gary Gray, Jim Ukish, Russell McKay, Steve Barron, Marty Kellner, and Michael Bay, among others. As the PBS series Frontline explored, MTV was a driving force that catapulted music videos to a mainstream audience, turning music videos into an art form as well as a marketing machine that became beneficial to artists. Danny Goldberg, chairman and CEO of Artenis Records, said the following about the art music videos. I know when I worked with Nirvana, Kurt Cobain cared as much about the videos as he did about the records. He wrote the scripts for them, he was in the editing room, and they were part of his art. And I think they stand up as part of his art, and I think that's true of the great history of the great artists today. Not every artist is a great artist, and not every video is a good video, but in general, having it available as a tool, to me, adds to the business. And I wish there had been music videos in the heyday of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. I think they would have added to their curative contribution, not subtracted from it. And there's the history of MTV. How did it become so popular? Well, when they were airing music videos of very popular artists such as Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and when they were also Nirvana, that's how they became very popular. They were featuring lots of artists who were very popular at that time, and they continued to go on with that concept for many years, and that's how they became very popular. Anyways, this is where I'm going to end off this video. If you guys want to see the swear word version of this video, you guys can click the 8th link in the description below, which will lead you to the swear word version of this video. And don't forget and that video will be uploaded on my 3rd channel, Dance Place. So thanks again for watching. So thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell on this channel, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell on Dance Place if you want to see more videos that contain 13+ and 15+ content, and maybe in the nearby future I'll also do some other content as well, like some Dance Place exclusive content. But until then, also make sure that you ring the notification bell and subscribe on this channel and on Dance Place. Subscribe and ring the notification bell on this channel if you want to see more clean version videos, like if you're younger or sensitive to like swearing and stuff. And if you want to see more videos that basically contain 13+ content and 15+ content, you guys can subscribe and ring the notification bell on Dance Place, which is my 3rd channel. But if you want to see both, of those things, you guys should subscribe and ring the notification bell on both of those channels. And also, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell on my 2nd channel. My 2nd channel will be the 3rd link in the description below. And if you guys would like to send me fan art, you guys can send me fan art on my Instagram. My Instagram will be the 2nd link in the description below. And if you guys would like to join my Roblox fan group, my Roblox fan group will be the 1st link in the description below. And if you guys would like to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter will be the 4th link in the description below. And if you guys would like to follow me on Reddit, my Reddit will be the 5th link in the description below. And if you guys would like to follow me on TikTok, my TikTok will be the 6th link in the description below. And if you guys would like to check out my Facebook page will be the 7th link in the description below. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!